Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Alicia. I drop new tutorials every Thursday and I try to get another one in during the week or on the weekend if I can. It depends on my crazy schedule. So this week I made a true St. Patrick's Day themed cup. So I'm going to show you how to do a glitter on vertical glitter lines down the cup. I'm going to be using greens and golds for St. Patrick's Day. I'm also going to be testing out the Dollar Tree vinyl. So most of you have been into the Dollar Tree, or a lot of you, or if you haven't, you go to the Dollar Tree and they have, a whole craft section now, and there is lots of vinyl, right? So I'm like, well, let's try out vinyl. I've been buying it here and there and I haven't used it yet. So I'm going to use it this week and I'm going to tell you what I think of it. Also, instead of using epoxy on this cup, I am going to use StarCraft brand coating. So I don't know what to call it. I know that Crystalac calls theirs Bright Tone. And so Bright Tone and these kinds of products are an alternative to epoxy if you have allergies to it. So I'm going to go ahead and try this out. Thankfully, Kyle from Ante Graphic Supply was generous enough to give me a bottle of this so that I could try it out. So I'm going to do all this testing for you and I'm going to tell you what I think in the end. So if you're interested to see what I came up with and what I think of all these products, stick around and I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so I prep this cup as I normally do by sanding it, wiping it with 91% alcohol, and spray painting it metallic gold. I am using a 20-ounce Skinny Straight by Makerflow. And so because I'm doing vertical lines, I'm gonna use 1-inch painter's tape. I use a T-square to get a straight vertical line. That's, one of the few times that you'll see me measuring, so that I start my first piece of tape off nice and straight, and then I just do the 1-inch strips all the way around. The last strip is going to be a little bit skinnier than the rest. I'm okay with that. And so now what I'm going to do is I am going to, with the tape, I just want to point out with the painter's tape, I did put it on my clothing so to take away the extreme stickiness of it, because when you pull it back from the spray paint, it could pull it off of the cup, which it did a little bit, not a whole lot, but enough for me to want to saturate the Mod Podge with some gold to bring that back in the background underneath the gold glitter. And then I am going to use the green acrylic paint underneath the green glitter. Once I got all that paint mixed up, now I am going to just press down the tape and make sure there's no lifting, and I'm going to start painting on my tinted Mod Podge with a 1-inch soft bristle brush. And this is wider than this strip because remember I said the last strip was a little less than 1 inch. But I'm okay with that. And then I am just going to go ahead and sprinkle my green glitter right over top. And, in the end, it wasn't saturated enough. So I wound up doing 2 coats of every single color. So I'll show you me doing the first coat, but I'm not going to show you me doing the second coat because, once you do 1 coat, you don't need to see how you do the second coat. So after I'm done putting that on, I'm going to go ahead and peel my next strip down. And so I had a pattern and I wound up getting out of the pattern, sorry, but so I did a green strip and then I decided the next one was going to be gold. Now, because I'm not showing you how I did the second layer of glitter on there, I did not retape. I did seal the glitter with Rust-Oleum's 2 times. No, I'm sorry, I didn't. I used Krylon Triple Thick because I've been really liking Krylon Triple Thick more. So once I was done this first layer of glitter, I did go in 2 coats of Krylon Triple Thick, and then I went and I did not retape this cup, but I just went down with my Mod Podge over each strip and then put a second layer of glitter. So that's how I did it. So now that I've done a couple of strips for you, I am just going to go ahead and speed this up because I think you get the idea. So you peel your tape off, you carefully paint on your next Mod Podge color, whichever pattern you want to use, and then you go ahead and sprinkle that glitter on. And so you just do that all the way around the cup until it's done. And I also want to mention that I wait until the end to tap off the cup. After I'm done the entire cup, then I go ahead and do the bottom. Some people don't do the bottoms. You know, this is optional. Some people like it stainless steel. I prefer to glitter my bottoms. So I said earlier that I didn't show you how I did the second coat. Well, apparently I forgot that I actually did film me doing one stripe, just to show you what I did, just to show you that I did not retape it, and then I just went in carefully with my Mod Podge and my brush. I did not show you that I did seal this. Again, I sealed it with 2 coats of Krylon's triple thick to seal that glitter in so it wasn't falling off and so that it wouldn't be brushing off easily when I was putting this Mod Podge on. So just, you know, be careful because you're not using, you could retape it if you wanted. I guess, you know, once that Krylon triple thick is on there, but I really didn't want to take the chance of the painter's tape or any other tape that you use with pulling the glitter up. So I just chose to do it this way. And it does take a little bit longer, but I think in the end it's worth it. But again, that is just my opinion and how I chose to do it. You could, you know, you could even do a coat of maybe the StarCraft and get a nice thick coat on there and then retape it and re-glitter it. So that's an idea as well. So get that clear coat, get 1 coat of the clear coat on there and get it really like good and sealed, and then go in and retape and re-glitter. So that's just, you know, just a couple of options. There's definitely a couple of ways to do this. You're not stuck doing it in any one particular way. You know, it'll depend on dry time or, you know, work time, how much work time you have. If you're trying to save some time, you might find one way is faster than the other, or if you have plenty of time and you're just kind of moseying along with it, you could do it this way. Like I wasn't in a big hurry. This isn't an order. So I kind of took my time and was moseying along with it. I also want to add that when I did this, I put a little Mod Podge at a time on. So I didn't saturate the line. I just put a little bit, spread out what I could, and then put a little bit and spread out what I could. Because if you saturate the line, you run the risk of going over, and then you're going to glitter over in the wrong, you know, glitter over in the wrong color. So that's what I felt worked the best for me. Once I got all my glitter on, I let the cup dry for 1 hour. Then I went and I did 2 coats of Krylon triple thick again to seal this up to make sure the glitter doesn't travel. And then I let that dry for half an hour in between each coat. And now I am ready to put on my StarCraft Clear Coat. So what I did was I measured out 15 mLs and I just put it on like a line at a time. And so you see me spinning my cup by hand. I want you guys to know that I'm not burning the turner. I'm not turning the motor. It's just the cup sleeve that's turning on the pole. So I know that people worry about that. You know, you could burn out your motor by doing that. I'm not doing it. So I'm just going to go line by line and apply it with my finger. Now this is a water base, and I've seen people use some of these without a gloved hand. I still chose to glove my hand. And I'm just going to, like I said, put it on 1 strip at a time. And then I'm going to make sure I get my bottom coated. And I'll show you in a second how much I had left over, which wasn't, I actually had like 5 mLs. I think I poured 15 and I had 5 mLs left over. So that was for the first measuring. And for the second measuring, when I went to do my second coat, I actually measured out 10 mLs and had a little bit left over on that. And then on my third, I measured 5. And then after that, I stopped measuring. I just started pouring on by the bottle. And this is where I'm showing you what I had left over in my cup, and I just poured it back in the bottle. All right, guys, so this has 8 coats. Yes, 8 coats of that StarCraft coating. So I don't know if it was that I was putting too thin of coats on or what, but it took 8 coats. And so with a dry time of 3 to 4 hours in between, this is not a cup that you're going to be getting done quickly. So I'm just going to speed this up because what I'm doing is cleaning the rim as I always do after I'm done after I'm done my second coat of epoxy, but in this case it's 8 coats of the Pure Coat or Clear Coat. So this stuff is really easy to come off the cup. It doesn't take me very long to clean it up. The rim was a little bit rough, so I did give it a light sanding. I wanted to make sure that, you know, it's nice and smooth. And I also did a light sanding at the bottom. The rest of the cup did not need to be sanded. There was not a single pokey on there, so that was good. It saved some time in sanding. After I was done sanding this, I used 91% alcohol to clean this as I normally do, but it was not a good idea to do that because it dulled the clear coat. So I recommend to wash it with Dawn dish soap instead and keep the acetone away from it as well. Testing out a Dollar Tree vinyl. So a lot of you may know that Dollar Tree's been coming out with a lot of craft stuff, including this vinyl. It is very cheap vinyl, I can tell you that. It's got the consistency of washi tape. So if you've worked with washi tape, this is going to remind you a lot of it. If you've not worked with washi tape, it's super, super thin. And it's not all that sticky. And honestly, I'm quite nervous about using it on this cup and not using epoxy, but using this, you know, this other stuff. But like it's very thin, super, super thin. So I'm going to pull this strip off. And I cut this on my Cricut Design Space, and I used the washi tape or washi sheet setting. And I cut it that way. So I'm just gonna put this down. What is going on here? Oh. So this stuff does not like alcohol because I've just dulled this up. If you get alcohol on there, it's going to dull it up. All right, good to know. Oh, and I'll tell you what, if this behaves anything like Cricut shimmer paper that's supposed to be like glitter, alcohol will immediately discolor this. So keep the alcohol and the acetone away. I cut these strips so I made a square on my Cricut Design Space, and I cut them at 9.5 by, wow, these are really tough to deal with. 9.5, which was way too long, by point, I think it's 1.5, so it didn't even cut here, so this is a wasted strip. So I might have to put like more pressure, but like, can you hear this? It's like really thin paper. I mean, and the one thing it's good is I think because it's so thin that the stuff that I'm using instead of epoxy is I'm not gonna need, you know, 100 coats. So I'm just gonna curl this over and around for right now, just until I get all these strips on. So yeah, I probably should have cut it on the washi setting on more. Oh, and something else I want to tell you is scratches super easy. So be careful because I ruined 2 pieces. So I was putting it on my Cricut mat and I have my ring on, and it scratched the vinyl. Where's the TV? Because I was like, what is that? And I don't know if you're going to be able to see the scratches on there. That was from my ring. So I'm just speeding this up, and all I do when I lay them down is I just split the difference between the colors. I'm going to go ahead and cut out one more strip, but I want to show you what I was doing, which caused the scratches. So I was putting it on my mat, and I was flattening it out like this, and my ring is what caused those scratches. So I'm going to just use this piece and scrap the rest of it because it was only above. All right, so I cut this out using the more pressure, and I want to see if this is easier. Yeah, so washi sheet using more pressure cut this out much easier. So got to make a note of that for next time. And this is this shimmer, so I don't know what the other vinyl is like because I haven't used it yet. All right, we're gonna get these on. All right, and to trim these off, I am just gonna go around and trim just below the top. So I'm just gonna speed this up. So all I did was I trimmed them below the edge and above the edge for the top and the bottom. All right, so next thing I did was I printed out some shamrocks on this holographic Cricut vinyl that I picked up on sale a long time ago, and I've never really used it because I don't like Cricut brand vinyl either. So I cut this on the holographic setting, and I hit it twice to make sure it went all the way through. So I don't know if you're familiar with that hack or not. So if you don't think that it went all the way through, you just hit your C button again and it will recut the exact same thing. But you can't let it go out and then push it back in and do that. It has to be like it's done cutting and then immediately hit the C again. So I'm gonna just peel these off with my finger, and I'm gonna come down the gold stripe with these. All right, and just speeding up, putting down the shamrocks. I'm just putting them in a line down the gold. And I, really wasn't sure what I was doing with this cup. I was really winging it. So I decided that I was just only going to do one row. Like I had cut out enough to do like 2 rows, and I decided that I didn't like this holographic on the gold, but I didn't want to pull it all off. Like, not that I hated it, it just wasn't my favorite. So I did 1 row, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to keep the extras and put them aside. And maybe the like lime green solid color would do better. So I printed up or cut up some on this like green, more St. Patrick's Day green. And I printed out just as many. And so I decided to put this down a gold strip. And I wasn't, I wasn't in love with this either. So I just went and I followed through with putting them down and decided that that was all I was going to do. Like I didn't want to cover all the gold with shamrocks. And again, I was still kind of winging this, and sometimes I do that with these cups that I'm doing tutorials on. I'm not 100% sure when I start it, and then I kind of just work through it and decide as I'm doing it. So that was where I was at with this one. So after I was done with the shamrocks, I decided, I'm going to look for an image to put on here, something cute. And I came across this Irish-ish. It was a design that I got from Creative Fabrica, and I will link them in the description because I do have a discount code for you guys there. And so I just double layered it. So I did the offset in Cricut Design Space, which is like so easy. And I put it right over that vinyl, right over that dollar store vinyl because it's super thin. So I didn't think that I was going to see any like indents or anything on it. And I figured that was going to be it. And then I was going to just finish it with my final coats of this StarCraft Clear Coat. And so I I started out with the thin layer as I started when I first started coating this. And so this is the way I'm putting it on now. I am just using it straight out of the bottle. I didn't even put it in a medicine cup, so I can't even tell you as far as measurement goes. It's quick to go on. There's no bubbles, and you do not need to torch it. So it's just get it on, smooth it out. It is self-leveling like epoxy, and I'm ready for my closing remarks. All right, guys, so this cup is mostly done. It's got 3 or 4 coats over this vinyl. I'm sorry, I'm losing count with this. So I have some pokies. I don't know if it's like, I'm not sure if it's just lint that got in there or whatever. So I'm gonna give this a very light sand and go ahead and probably put another 2, 3, 4 coats, who knows. So one of the things I wanna go over, all right, there's Aria.
Hi.
Hi, okay. And so this StarCraft Pure Coat Clear Gloss. So pros, no mixing, no bubbles, no odor, and overall faster working time. So, you know, with epoxy, you've got to pour, and you've got to measure when you're pouring, and then you got your mix time, and then you're putting it on, and you've got to spread it out and make sure you're not overworking the epoxy to create bubbles. Then you've got a torch. So overall, the working time for this is you squirt it on, rub it in, and walk away. So that's, you know, an absolute pro to this. So, you know, you can, like if I have 5 minutes before I gotta leave, I can do a coat of this in 5 minutes before I leave. The cons, it's very thin and it takes many, many, many coats. Now, I tried putting some thicker coats on, so I think I was doing it too thin. So the first round of coating the glitter was 8 coats for me. So I don't know, I've never used this and I've never used any other products like this, so I don't have anything to compare it to. But it took me 8 coats to get this to the point where I'm like, okay, it's coated. It's finally completely coated. I can't feel the glitter. So I'm gonna try next time I use this putting thicker coats on, like the first coat being thin, making sure that the glitter is sealed in and not going to move around, and then go in with some thicker coats. But it has such a watery consistency that it's kind of hard to get a thick coat because it'll drip off the cup. So I think like what I started doing was putting like a layer on and then going back around and putting like another layer on that way so that it didn't drip. So that was just my experience with it. I know there's a lot of other people that use Crystal products and they have a lot of experience with it, and I don't know if the consistency is thicker than this Pure Coat. Like I said, I've never used it. So pricing, I didn't find that there's a significant difference when I was doing comparison shopping online for this product. Now, like I said, Kyle at Ante Graphic Supply gave me this bottle. He was very generous in giving this to me. So thank you, Kyle. Thank you so much. And the other things about this, on the bottle, it claims that it's, and I'm going to read it, it's non-toxic, UV protective, scratch resistant, eco-friendly, non-yellowing, and a clear hard finish. So epoxy claims most of the same stuff. The only thing is with toxicity. So, you know, I think epoxy resins have come a long way in the last few years, where a lot of companies are really trying to make it so that these are food grade safe, as they would call it. I know that there was a lot of epoxies years ago that were very, very toxic, and they used them on like boats and stuff to protect boats, but you couldn't use them on a product that you were going to drink out of or eat out of. And so epoxy companies have really come a long way to make them food grade safe. Of course, you know, you don't ever eat this stuff. You wouldn't eat this, you wouldn't eat that in its liquid form. But with epoxies, that you follow the directions on the bottle as to, you know, manufacturers, like as far as using respirators or protective gear. I've heard a lot of people have skin reactions to epoxy or epoxy resin, whatever you want to call it. I have not experienced that, but other people do. I always wear protective gloves anyway because this stuff is thick and gooey and it's hard to get off your skin. I mean, I've accidentally gotten it on my skin. So I think, you know, as far as this goes, that's my comparison. These are my opinions. This is not, I'm not going to say that this is fact. These are my opinions and based on my use of these products. Let's talk about dry time. So this Pure Coat says it's dry to the touch in 1 to 2 hours, and then you can recoat in 3 to 4 hours. And that's pretty true to that. So after an hour, I did a touch test, and it was still definitely damp. And then after 2 hours, it was less damp, if you will. After 3 hours, it felt like it was good for a recoat. So for me, with having to put 8 coats of this on, so it was get up in the morning, put a coat on, go to work, come home. As soon as I get in the door, run down, put a coat on, and then before bed, put a coat on. So that's 3 coats in one day. So 3, 6, 9. It took me basically 3 days to coat this cup. And then, you know, and this, because I worked during the day. So, you know, I work 9 to 5, you know, at my other job. And, you know, I'm not here to, you know, set a clock for every 3 or 4 hours to try to do it quicker. So, you know, if you're working a 9 to 5 or whatever, you know, hour like I am, doing a cup like this in, you know, less than a week is probably not doable. So with epoxy, especially now with your fast set epoxies, you can, theoretically, you can do a cup in a day. You know, not now, take away the cure time because, you know, you have to let it cure for 72 hours before you use it, but you can have a cup done in one day. This is not going to happen. You're never going to use this and have a cup done in one day. So if you've got plenty of time to get your cup done, then, you know, hey, by all means, use this. You know, it's really easy to use. But if you need to get something done quicker, then epoxy is going to be your friend in that. So again, you know, for people who are highly allergic to epoxy, they don't have a choice. So that is it on my thoughts for dry time. So the other thing that I tested out was this, what's the brand of it? It's called Crafters Square Vinyl Paper. Okay, so from the Dollar Tree. And this is really what it is, paper. It's very, very thin. So it reminds me, like it gives me, it's like washi sheets or washi tape. It's super, super thin. So I tried doing very fine cuts on it. It just tore it up. I couldn't get my Cricut to do a fine cut on it. So as far as using it for like striping, you know, I think it worked out well. I had to cut this on the washi sheet setting and give it more pressure because the regular pressure it didn't cut through all the way, and this tears very, very easy. It stretches very, very easy. I have no idea how this is going to hold up under epoxy or under this Pure Coat. If it's going to fade, I know that Cricut vinyl, the shimmer, so it's like the glitter shimmer, I put that on my car and within a year it was completely faded out. So I get the feeling that this might do the same thing if it has a lot of exposure. This has UV protected, but I don't know if it's going to protect it from fading. What are you doing? What are you doing?
It says finger claw.
A finger claw. So guys, that is it for this tutorial and my review and what I think of these products. If you have any questions.
It's a very huge finger.
It is a huge finger. So if there's something that I missed and you have a question, post them in the comments below, or post in the comments below your experience with any of these products. I'd like to hear what you think or what you've used.
Bye, like, and subscribe.
And now I'm losing my train of thought. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out my Facebook page. It's a craft thing, as well as the glitter GMI Superstars page. We have a lot of great creators there that post, you know, beautiful things that they make. And I will see you all next time, guys. Bye.